Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say a word first about General Barr. I listened carefully to Senator Lee and to all my Democratic friends. I think we all have seen presidents, both Democratic and Republican, appoint people who, in our judgment, are political hacks. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. From one point of view, that's okay, because presidents elected by the people are entitled to surround themselves with advisors of his or her choice. I do not think that any fair-minded person could call Bill Barr a political hack. I just don't. I have, like all of you, I take this job seriously. I read FBI reports. I read their law review articles. I read their resumes. And I'm impressed with Bill Barr. I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he reveres the law. I think he enjoys the law. We all know lawyers that some of whom make a lot of money. They don't really love the law. It's a job. I don't think Bill Barr is like that. I think, I'm not saying he hasn't made a lot of money. He has, because he's good at what he does. But I think he reveres the law and the rule of the law, and I think that's important for Attorney General, because we all know that an Attorney General is different. It's not like appointing somebody Homeland Security Secretary. That's not a criticism of Homeland Security, very important job, but Attorney General is different. The second reason I think Bill Barr wants to be Attorney General, he doesn't have to do it at this point in his career. I think he's worried about the Justice Department, and he's worried about the FBI.
With good reason.
Sooner or later, I don't know when, but it'll happen. What happened at the Justice Department and at the FBI in 2016 will come out. I wish President Trump would declassify, properly redacted, all of the documents so that all of us can see what happened. All of us can make our own judgment about whether those two agencies were politicized in 2016. I'm not saying they were or they weren't, but the American people are entitled to know. Because I've always believed, and I want to continue to believe, that the FBI, for example, is the premier law enforcement agency in all of human history. And I think Bill Barr wants to go, not from a political approach or angle, but he wants to go and try to help justice and the FBI, to the extent that you think it needs to happen, be rehabilitated. The disclosure of Mr. Mueller's report. To some extent, it's an academic issue. To some extent, it's a very important issue. I say it's just an academic issue because we all know it's going to leak. The only question is whether it leaks in toto or it just leaks in part, but it's going to leak. Having said that, I think that the Justice Department would be better off just disclosing it once it's written. I know that Senator Grassley and Senator Blumenthal have a bill to make sure that happens. I'm going to vote for it. I'm reading the bill. I may even co-sponsor it. The American people are entitled to see the facts and judge for themselves. I know that there's some people in Washington, D.C., present company excluded, that think they're smarter and more virtuous than the American people, and that the American people somehow aren't smart enough or are experienced enough to handle the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have said this before, and I'll keep saying it. The American people, most of them, it's true, don't read Aristotle every day. They don't have time. They're earning a living. But they're plenty smart, and if you give them the facts, they'll draw their own conclusions. Let me say a word about the questions we ask our nominees, because Senator Lee made a very good point, as did Senator Whitehouse. I'm not going to judge what either of them said. I'll just tell you my perspective. I think it's appropriate that this committee be able to ask nominees about their beliefs, including religious beliefs. If a nominee doesn't want to answer, if a nominee wants to say that's too private, I think that's the nominee's prerogative. I'm not sure I'd want to come before this committee and talk about my religious beliefs, but I think you ought to be able to ask. I think within reason, you ought to be able to ask a nominee anything you want to ask them. And I think this is what Mike was saying, what I don't think you should be able to do is to vote against a nominee because of his or her political beliefs. And I don't want to believe anybody on this committee would do that. But we've already been, in a de facto way, precluded from asking some nominees what they think about the law, in the sense that we can't ask them because they're not going to answer. Well, tell me about this case. Did you think it was properly decided? You don't have to tell me whether you agree with me or not, but what did you think about the reasoning? What did you think about the precedent? Now they won't tell you. I think that's a mistake, but I get it. In terms of the list of judges, I bet every one of you agrees with me on this. There are people that if I were President of the United States, I would not nominate on this list.
That's right, yeah.
Not necessarily because they're bad people, but because I think there might be better people. And I think I'm the only Republican that's actually voted against one of the president's nominees. Not because I thought he wasn't qualified, I thought he had a conflict. Now, some of the others have been pulled down that I would have voted against. But I'm not President of the United States, and I don't want to be. I wouldn't have the job. And presidents are entitled to nominate whomever they want to. And it's our job to advise and consent. And I don't think the standard is, well, would this woman or this man be my first choice? I think the standard is, and I don't think the standard is, what do you believe? Or who have you advocated, or what have you advocated in the past? Because when I practiced law, I'm going to hush in a minute, Lindsay. When I practiced law, when clients came to me, I didn't get to say, well, the position that you're taking is wrong. I don't agree with it. We're going to do it my way. I could do that, but then they wouldn't pay me.
Senator, if you could maybe do it in the next minute so we can keep on schedule here.
Okay, I will. The last point I want to make, I really worry about what's happening with our judiciary. I mean, Congress is political, we know that. The presidency is political, we know that. We expect it to be political, that's not pejorative. But I'm really worried about the judiciary being politicized. Not by these nominees, but by all of us, because it's almost we're debating how a judge is going to vote in a particular situation, and they're not super legislators. And I don't know what to do about it, but it concerns me, and I think it's having an impact on the way the American people view the independence of the judiciary. I'm sorry I went on so long, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Sen Kennedy.